The explosion shook the sky as Ryan Carter's spaceship spun out of control. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and smoke filled the cockpit. His hands trembled as he struggled to keep the ship from crashing. But it was useless. The engines were dead. With a deafening crash, Ryan's ship smashed into the surface of an unknown planet. Darkness swallowed him. Captain Zayara Velthar stood on the bridge of her warship, the Vashara, watching the battle unfold. The Exilari Dominion had just driven off an enemy fleet, but something else caught her attention. "Captain, an unidentified ship crashed on the planet below," her officer reported. Zayara's violet eyes narrowed. "Who was it?" The officer checked the readings. "A human vessel. Only one life sign detected." "A human." Zayara hesitated. The Exilari Dominion had no alliances with humans. They were unpredictable, dangerous. Protocol demanded that they leave him to his fate, but something inside her refused to ignore it. "Prepare a team," she ordered. "We're going down." Pain. That was the first thing Ryan felt when he woke up. His body ached, his head throbbed, and his vision was blurry. The air smelled strange, thick with the scent of something unfamiliar. He groaned and tried to sit up, but a sharp pain shot through his ribs. "You are lucky to be alive, human." The voice was smooth, commanding. Ryan turned his head and froze. A woman stood over him. No, not a woman. An alien. She was tall, with silver blue skin and long dark hair tied back. Her uniform was black and lined with metallic gold, marking her as someone important. But it was her eyes that held him in place, piercing, intelligent, and watching him like he was a puzzle to be solved. Ryan forced himself to speak. Who are you?" "Captain Zayara Velthar of the Exilari Dominion," she said. "You are aboard my ship." Ryan's stomach twisted. The Exilari were known across the galaxy, but humans had little contact with them. And now he was at their mercy. Zayara studied him carefully. "Your ship was destroyed. You would have died if I had left you." Ryan frowned. "So why didn't you?" For the first time, she hesitated. "I don't know," she admitted. Ryan blinked. That wasn't the answer he expected. Zayara turned to one of her officers. "Get him to the medical bay. Make sure he survives." The officer hesitated. "Captain, should we really?" Zayara's voice was cold. That was not a request. Ryan watched as the officer obeyed. He didn't understand why she saved him. But one thing was clear. His fate was now tied to this alien captain. And he had no idea what that meant for him. Ryan groaned as he opened his eyes. A soft, blue light filled the room. He was lying on a smooth metallic bed, his body covered in a thin silver blanket. The pain in his ribs had lessened, but his head still throbbed. He blinked, trying to remember where he was. Then it hit him. His ship had crashed. And now he was on an alien warship. He turned his head and saw a strange device beside him. It was scanning his body, small green lights blinking on its surface. The air smelled different, crisp and sterile. A voice made him tense. "You're awake." Ryan turned and saw Captain Zayara Velthar standing at the doorway. She still wore the same black and gold uniform, her long dark hair tied neatly behind her. Her silver blue skin seemed to glow under the dim lights. Ryan forced himself to sit up. "Where am I?" "The Vashera, my ship," Zayara said. She stepped closer, watching him carefully. "You were injured. Our medics treated you." Ryan's mind raced. He had heard stories about the Exilari Dominion, a powerful alien empire. Some said they were ruthless. Others said they were honorable warriors. But no human had ever been this close to them before. His gaze locked onto Zayara's. "Why did you save me?" Zayara hesitated for a moment, then folded her arms. "You were dying. I made a choice." Ryan frowned. "Your people don't usually help humans, do they?" Zayara's expression remained unreadable. "No, they do not." Silence filled the room. Ryan didn't know whether to feel lucky or afraid. Then the door slid open, and an auxiliary officer entered. His uniform had a red insignia on the shoulder, different from Zayara's. He looked at Ryan with clear disgust. "Captain," the officer said sharply, "the High Command demands an update on the human. What do we tell them?" Zayara's jaw tightened. "Nothing. Yet." The officer's expression darkened. "Captain, you know our laws. Humans are unpredictable. Keeping him here is a mistake." Ryan's stomach clenched. He could tell the officer wanted him gone. Zayara's voice was cold. "I make the decisions on this ship." The officer hesitated, then nodded stiffly and left. Ryan exhaled. "He really doesn't like me." Zayara sighed. "Most of my people don't." Ryan smirked. "But you do." Zayara's gaze hardened. "I don't trust you yet, human." She turned to leave but paused at the doorway. "But I will not let my people decide your fate." Then she was gone. Ryan lay back against the bed, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't sure why Zayara had saved him. But now, it seemed like she was risking everything for him. And that meant one thing: his presence on this ship was dangerous. For both of them. Ryan sat on the edge of the medical bed, rubbing his forehead. His body still ached, but his mind was more alert now. He was alone in an alien warship, surrounded by people who didn't trust him, maybe even wanted him dead. And yet Captain Zayara had saved him. Why? Before he could think further, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Zayara entered, holding a small metallic device in her hand. She looked calm, but her piercing violet eyes studied him carefully. "We need to talk, human," she said. Ryan smirked. "You saved my life. You can call me Ryan." Zayara's expression didn't change. "Fine, Ryan. Now tell me, why were you near our war zone?" Ryan hesitated. He had expected this question. The truth was, he had no good reason to be there. "I was just passing through," he said, shrugging. Zayara narrowed her eyes. "The lone human ship in a restricted sector. You expect me to believe that?" Ryan sighed. "Look, I'm an explorer, or I was. My crew left me behind after a bad deal. I was trying to find a way home when my ship got caught in the middle of your battle." Zayara remained silent, watching him. He could tell she didn't fully believe him. Then she stepped closer, holding up the metallic device. "This is a truth scanner. It will read your body's reactions. If you lie, I will know." Ryan swallowed hard. "Great. No pressure." Zayara activated the scanner, and a soft blue light ran over his body. "Were you spying on the Xelari Dominion?" she asked. "No," Ryan said quickly. The scanner remained silent. No alarm. Zayara's expression didn't change. "Are you working for an enemy faction?" "No." Again, no alarm. She lowered the scanner slightly. "Are you hiding something from me?" Ryan hesitated. There was something. He had found something in deep space before his crash. Something valuable. But he wasn't about to tell an alien captain about it. He forced a smirk. "Everyone hides something." The scanner beeped softly. Zayara's eyes narrowed. "You are hiding something." Ryan exhaled. "It's nothing that concerns you." For a moment, Zayara said nothing. Then she deactivated the scanner. "You're not a threat, but that doesn't mean I trust you." Ryan chuckled. "Trust takes time." Zayara turned toward the door but stopped. "The High Command will soon demand an answer about you. If they see you as a risk, they will order your execution." Ryan's smirk faded. "And what will you do?" Zayara looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then, without answering, she walked out. Ryan leaned back, running a hand through his hair. He had just become a problem for Captain Zayara. And in a warship full of aliens who hated him, that wasn't a good thing. Ryan lay on the medical bed, staring at the ceiling. His ribs still ached, but his mind was focused on something else. Zayara's warning. If the Xelari High Command saw him as a threat, they would order his execution. and Zayara hadn't told him what she planned to do. The door slid open, and a different auxiliary officer entered. This one wasn't as tall as Zayara, but his pale blue skin and sharp, glowing eyes made him just as intimidating. His uniform bore a red insignia, marking him as a high-ranking officer. The alien sneered. "Get up, human." Ryan pushed himself up slowly. "And you are?" The officer ignored him and pressed a button on a device. Immediately, Ryan's wrists were pulled together by a force field, locking him in place. "Whoa, what the hell?" Ryan struggled, but the invisible restraints wouldn't budge. The officer smirked. "Captain Zayara may be foolish enough to protect you, but I am not. You are coming with me." Ryan's stomach twisted. "Where are we going?" The officer's smirk widened. "To the interrogation chamber." Zayara stormed down the hall, her boots hitting the metallic floor with sharp clicks. Her lieutenant ran beside her. "Captain, Commander Siren took the human." I know," Zayara snapped. "He's overstepping his authority. High Command will support him," the lieutenant warned. "They see the human as a risk." Zayara's jaw clenched. "Then I'll handle it myself." She reached the interrogation room and overrode the lock, stepping inside. Ryan was strapped into a metallic chair, and Commander Siren stood in front of him, holding a nerve scanner, a device used to force information from prisoners. Ryan's eyes met hers. "Hey, Captain. Your people really know how to make a guest feel welcome." Zayara's voice was ice. "Step away from him, Siren." Siren turned, eyes filled with arrogance. "Captain, you're too soft. This human is hiding something, and I intend to find out what." Zayara took a step forward. "I already questioned him. He knows nothing of value." Siren smirked. "Then you won't mind if I verify that myself." Ryan tensed as Siren moved closer, but before he could use the device. Zayara drew her weapon and aimed it at Siren's head. The room fell silent. Siren's smirk disappeared. "You wouldn't dare." Zayara's voice was deadly calm. "You are questioning my authority, Commander. Release him. Now." For a moment, Siren didn't move. Then, with a sharp scowl, he deactivated the restraints. Ryan's wrists were freed, and he rubbed them. "Well, that was fun." Zayara turned to him. "Come with me." Ryan followed her out of the room, realizing something important. Zayara had just defied her own people to protect him. And now, neither of them could turn back. Ryan followed Captain Zayara down the long metallic corridor, his mind racing. She had just risked everything to stop her own officer from torturing him. "Why? Where are we going?" he asked. Zayara didn't slow down. "Somewhere safe." Ryan frowned. "Safe from who? Your people?" She stopped and turned to face him. Her violet eyes were intense. "Yes." Ryan exhaled. "Great. So now I'm stuck on a ship full of aliens who want me dead." Zayara's lips pressed into a thin line. "Not if we leave." Ryan blinked. "Leave?" Zayara nodded. "I can't protect you here. High Command will demand your execution soon. I need to get you off this ship." Ryan crossed his arms. "And what happens to you?" Zayara hesitated. She knew the truth. Helping the human escape would make her a traitor. But she couldn't let him die. "I'll handle it," she said. Ryan could tell she was lying. But before he could argue, a loud alarm blared through the ship. "Warning. Unauthorized access detected in hangar bay." Zayara's face darkened. "They know." She grabbed Ryan's wrist. "Run." They sprinted through the corridors, passing confused auxiliary soldiers. Zayara's high rank kept anyone from stopping them, but that wouldn't last long. As they reached the hangar, Ryan's eyes widened. A small scout ship was waiting for them, engines powered up. "You had a ship ready?" he asked, impressed. "I planned ahead," Zayara said. Before they could enter, a plasma blast struck the ground near them. Ryan flinched. "Okay, that's not good." Zayara turned, her blaster drawn. At the entrance of the hangar, Commander Xiron stood with a squad of armed soldiers. His voice was full of anger. "Captain Zayara, step away from the human." Zayara raised her weapon. "He's under my protection." Jiren smirked. "Not anymore." Ryan knew this was bad. There was no way they could win against a full squad. Then, Zayara did something he didn't expect. She grabbed a small device from her belt and threw it at the ground. A flash of bright light exploded in the hangar, blinding everyone except her and Ryan. "Move," she shouted. Ryan didn't need to be told twice. They ran into the ship, and Zayara jumped into the pilot's seat. As the doors sealed shut, Ryan strapped in. "Please tell me you can fly this thing." Zayara's fingers moved over the controls. "Better than you." The ship lurched forward, blasting out of the hangar. Behind them, alarms screamed, and auxiliary fighters scrambled to chase them. Ryan exhaled, adrenaline pumping. They had escaped. But then, Zayara's expression turned grim. "They won't stop hunting us." Ryan looked at her. "Then what do we do?" Zayara's grip tightened on the controls. "We survive." The scout ship shot through space, its engines glowing bright as it sped away from the auxiliary warship. Inside the small cockpit, Ryan sat beside Captain Zayara, his heart still racing. They had escaped. But they weren't safe yet. "They're following us, aren't they?" Ryan asked. Zayara's sharp eyes scanned the controls. "Yes, 3 auxiliary warships are in pursuit." Ryan groaned. "Let me guess, they don't want to say goodbye." Zayara didn't respond. Instead, she pushed the ship into a steep dive, narrowly dodging an incoming plasma blast. "Hold on," she warned. Ryan barely had time to grab his seat as Zayara spun the ship, weaving through an asteroid field. Behind them, the auxiliary ships fired relentlessly, but Zayara's piloting skills kept them from getting hit. For a moment, Ryan forgot she was an alien warrior. She was just a damn good pilot. He turned to her. "We can't run forever. Do you have a plan?" Zayara's fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Yes, we're going to the neutral zone." Ryan frowned. "Neutral zone?" Zayara nodded. "A sector controlled by no empire. High Command won't risk following us there." Ryan exhaled. "Okay, sounds great. One problem. Can we actually make it there?" Zayara's eyes darkened. "I don't know." The ship shook violently as a blast scraped the left side. Ryan cursed. "That's a bad sign." Zayara gritted her teeth. "They're trying to disable our ship, not destroy it. They want me alive." Ryan gave a dry laugh. "Great. They want to kill me but spare you. That's fair." Zayara ignored his sarcasm. She pressed a button, and a holographic screen appeared, showing the auxiliary high command. A cold voice filled the cockpit. "Captain Zayara Velfar, surrender at once. You are guilty of treason." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Wow, they don't waste time." Zayara didn't blink. "I won't surrender." The voice grew harsher. "You are a soldier of the Auxiliary Dominion. You know the punishment for betraying your people." Ryan's stomach twisted. He looked at Zayara. She had risked everything for him. Now, her own people saw her as a traitor. The voice continued. "Turn over the human, and we will show you mercy." Ryan swallowed hard. He knew what they were really saying. If Zayara gave him up, she could save herself. Ryan turned to her. "Zayara, don't do this for me. If you give me to them, you can still." Her hand tightened on the controls. "I won't." Ryan blinked. "But they'll." "I don't betray the people I protect," she said firmly. Before High Command could respond, Zayara cut off the transmission and pushed the engines to maximum speed. The ship lurched forward, heading straight for the neutral zone. Behind them, the auxiliary warships refused to give up the chase. Ryan exhaled. He had wanted to survive. Now, Zayara was risking her own life for him, and he had no idea how to repay her. The ship trembled as it plunged deeper into the uncharted region of space, far from the Xilari Dominion's reach. The stars outside the windows streaked past, a blur of light as Ziara pushed the scout ship to its limits. The engines groaned, barely keeping up with the demand she placed on them. Ryan sat in the co-pilot's seat, gripping the armrest. The ship felt fragile in the vast emptiness, and the chase was far from over. Behind them, the Xilari warships were still hot on their trail. "This is crazy," Ryan muttered. "We're running out of time." Ziara's voice was steady, but her eyes were sharp with focus. "I know, but we can't stop now." The neutral zone was just ahead, a distant region in space where no empire held power. It was their only chance to escape the Xilari, but it was also a place filled with unknown dangers. Ryan had a feeling no one would help them if they entered. "Ziara, are you sure this place is safe?" he asked. "I mean, it's neutral, right? But can we trust it?" Ziara didn't answer at first. She seemed lost in thought as she calculated their course. Then, finally, she turned to him. "No, we can't trust it," she said quietly. "But it's the best chance we have." Ryan nodded, understanding. He looked at the screen. The enemy ships were closing in. "Hang on," Ziara warned, her voice tight. She adjusted the ship's course, sending them into a sharp dive toward an asteroid belt. Ryan gripped his seat as the ship twisted and turned through the maze of floating rocks. He could hear the hum of the engines, straining to keep up with Ziara's desperate maneuvers. Plasma blasts from the Xilari ships whizzed past them, narrowly missing their tail. They were too close. "This isn't working," Ryan said, panic creeping into his voice. "We need a new plan." Ziara's face was determined. "We're not giving up." Suddenly, the ship jolted. "Damn it," Ryan shouted. "That hit us." Ziara quickly checked the console. "Hull damage. Nothing serious. Keep your seat." But Ryan could see it in her eyes. The situation was getting worse. Ahead of them, the asteroid belt stretched on for miles, but it wasn't enough to hide from the Xilari warships. Ziara's ship wasn't built for battle, and with every hit, it was becoming more fragile. "There's a station ahead," Ziara said, her voice low but urgent. Ryan squinted at the screen. He saw a structure, a massive space station. It was a relic, abandoned long ago, but still functioning. "It's a pirate station," Ziara continued. "They might not care about us, but they'll be willing to take down the Xilari." Ryan didn't hesitate. "Let's do it. Anything's better than getting caught." Ziara's fingers moved quickly over the controls, adjusting their approach to the station. The Xilari ships were right behind them, and the station's defenses came online. "We'll have to bluff our way through," Ziara said, glancing at Ryan. "Stay close to me, and don't make any sudden moves." Ryan nodded, though he knew there was nothing certain about this, but they had no choice. As they neared the station, a voice came through the ship's comms. "State your business." Ziara responded smoothly, her tone firm. "We seek refuge from the Xilari. We have no intention of causing trouble." There was a pause. Then the voice came back, calmer this time. "Come in, but be warned. You're on your own." The ship was pulled toward the station's dock, its engines coughing with the effort. Ryan and Ziara exchanged a glance. This was only the beginning of their struggle. But for now, they were safe. For now, the ship's engines hummed weakly as it docked inside the pirate station. Ryan glanced over at Ziara, who had a stern expression on her face. They had escaped the Xilari. For now. But this wasn't the end. The station was dark, its walls lined with grimy metal panels that looked like they hadn't seen a cleaning in centuries. Ryan could hear the distant hum of machinery and the occasional clang of metal echoing down the halls. It wasn't a place anyone would call home, but for now, it would have to do. As the docking ramp lowered, Ziara stood, already moving toward the exit. Ryan followed, adjusting the blaster on his belt. They had no idea what kind of people lived here, but he wasn't taking any chances. The station was eerily quiet as they walked down the long, narrow corridor. The walls were scratched and dented from years of wear and tear, and the lights flickered overhead. Ziara moved like a soldier, her sharp eyes constantly scanning for any sign of trouble. Ryan, on the other hand, kept his guard up but couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they reached the center of the station, a voice rang out from the shadows. Well, what do we have here?" Ryan instinctively reached for his blaster, but Ziara stopped him with a hand on his arm. From the shadows emerged a tall, scared alien wearing a patch over one eye. He was followed by several more figures, all of them dressed in worn armor and carrying weapons. "Pirates," Ziara muttered under her breath. The leader of the group grinned. "You two are far from home, aren't you?" He eyed Ryan with a mix of curiosity and amusement. "What do you want here?" Ziara stepped forward. "We need refuge. The Exilari are after us. We don't want trouble, just a place to hide." The pirate leader's grin widened. "The Exilari, huh? That's something we don't deal with often." He glanced over his shoulder at his crew. "But it's not every day we get to mess with the Dominion." Ryan exchanged a quick glance with Ziara. He could see the tension in her posture, but she didn't back down. The leader continued, his tone shifting to something more serious. "If you want our help, you'll have to earn it." Ziara's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean by earn it?" The pirate laughed. "Simple. We've got our own enemies around here. Help us deal with them, and we'll let you stay." Ryan stiffened. This wasn't what he had in mind. But he also knew that with the Exilari hot on their trail, they didn't have many choices. He turned to Ziara, silently asking for her decision. Ziara met his gaze and nodded slightly. "We'll help. For now." The pirate leader smirked. "Good. Follow us, and we'll show you what you need to do." They walked deeper into the station, where the air grew thicker with the scent of oil and metal. Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to walk into something much bigger than they had planned. But for the moment, they had no choice. As they moved deeper into the station, Ryan knew one thing for sure. Their fight wasn't over. They had just stepped into a new battlefield. And now, their survival depended on whether they could beat the pirates and the Exilari. Ryan and Ziara followed the pirate leader deeper into the station. The narrow hallways grew even darker, and the air smelled of oil and rust. It felt like they were walking into the heart of a forgotten world. The pirate leader, a tall alien with a scar across his face, led them into a large, dimly lit room. A group of rough-looking figures stood around a large table covered with maps and weaponry. Ziara eyed the weapons carefully, her military instincts kicking in. Ryan could tell she was still on high alert, but the pirates hadn't made any sudden moves. The leader turned to face them. "This is the crew. We've got a job for you." He pointed at a map on the table. "There's a high-value shipment passing through this sector in a few days. It's well guarded, but we want it." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You want us to rob it?" The pirate leader smirked. "I like how you think, human. But we'll need your help to make sure it happens. The Exilari are already after it. And if we don't get to it first, they will." Ziara crossed her arms. "And why should we help you?" The pirate leader didn't flinch. "Because you have nothing else. The Exilari will destroy you on sight, and we're your only chance at survival. If you want to hide from them, you'll help us take down their convoy." Ryan exchanged a quick look with Ziara. He could see the hesitation in her eyes. She didn't trust these pirates, but she also knew they were running out of options. "We'll do it," Ziara said, her voice cold but firm. Ryan sighed, knowing there was no turning back now. "When do we start?" The pirate leader grinned. "Right now." The next few hours were a whirlwind of planning. Ryan and Ziara worked alongside the pirate crew, going over the details of the Exilari convoy's route. They had to be quick. The Exilari were closing in, and there was no time to waste. Ryan didn't like the idea of getting involved with these pirates, but he knew this was their best shot. If they could pull this off, They would have the chance to disappear and leave the Xilari behind. As Zayara and the pirates discussed the plan, Ryan noticed something that made him uneasy. The pirates weren't just after the shipment. They had other plans that involved taking down the Xilari once and for all. Ryan approached Zayara quietly, speaking low enough for only her to hear. "You know they're not just after this shipment, right? They want a full-on fight with the Xilari." Zayara glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "I know, but we can't back out now. If we don't help them, they'll leave us behind, and the Xilari won't." Ryan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. They didn't have a choice. The Xilari were already on their trail, and these pirates were their only chance at survival. But as the plan took shape, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something much bigger than they realized. As Zayara finished discussing the strategy with the pirate leader, she turned to Ryan, ready for the next move. Ryan looked at her, his heart racing. This was it. They were going to go head-to-head with the Xilari. If they didn't succeed, they would lose everything. "Let's do this," Ryan said, his voice steady. Together, they stepped toward the unknown, their futures intertwined with the dangerous path ahead. The Xilari were close, but so were their enemies. And now, they were part of something much bigger than either of them could have imagined. The plan was set, and the pirates were ready. Zayara and Ryan had no choice but to move forward. They couldn't afford to wait any longer. The Xilari were closing in, and the risk of being caught was too great. The shipment they were after was their ticket to freedom, but it also meant heading straight into danger. Ryan glanced over at Zayara as they boarded the pirate ship. Her expression was calm, but he knew she was just as anxious as he was. They were no longer just running from the Xilari. They were about to become part of something much bigger, something far more dangerous. "I don't like this," Ryan muttered, adjusting his blaster. "We're walking into a battle we don't control." Zayara didn't look at him, her eyes fixed on the screens in front of her. "Sometimes we have to take risks. This is the only way we'll get a chance to leave this behind." Ryan nodded, understanding. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about fighting back, making a stand against the empire that had hunted them both. The pirate leader stood at the front of the ship, barking orders to his crew. As they approached the Xilari convoy's location, Ryan felt a heavy weight in his chest. He wasn't a soldier, he was a survivor, but now he had no choice. The stakes were too high. The pirate leader activated the ship's weapons. "Prepare for battle," he growled. "We'll take what's ours. Get ready to strike." Zayara stood beside Ryan, her posture tense. "We have one chance to make this work," she said quietly. "Stay close, and don't act without orders." Ryan nodded, his grip tightening on his weapon. He couldn't let Zayara down. The pirate ship dropped out of hyperspace and into the midst of the Xilari convoy. It was a battle like no other. Plasma blasts streaked through space as both sides engaged. The pirate ships darted around the Xilari's larger warships, their maneuverability giving them the advantage. Zayara's ship moved with deadly precision, dodging enemy fire and retaliating with well-placed shots. Ryan was at her side, helping with the smaller tasks, keeping their ship on course, handling weapons when needed, but he knew he was no match for Zayara's experience. "Keep them off us," Zayara shouted as a blast hit their hull. Ryan steadied himself, doing everything he could to keep the ship intact. His heart pounded in his chest as the battle raged around them. They had to survive this. Minutes felt like hours, and just when Ryan thought they couldn't hold out any longer, the pirate ships broke through. They had reached the convoy's vulnerable point, and the Xilari were struggling to maintain their defense. "We did it," Ryan shouted, a sense of relief flooding him. But Zayara's expression remained serious. "Not yet." The leader of the pirates called over the comms, his voice filled with triumph. "The convoy's ours. Prepare to take the goods." Zayara nodded, But as the pirates moved to secure the shipment, the auxiliary reinforcements arrived. More ships appeared, larger and more powerful than the ones they had faced. The fight was far from over. Ryan's heart sank. They couldn't win this alone. But then, Zayara did something unexpected. She turned to him, her gaze steady and filled with determination. "We don't need to win. We just need to survive." Ryan realized then that it wasn't about the victory. It was about what came after. They had each other, and that was enough. Together, they made their way back to the pirate ship, ready for whatever came next. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, they knew they wouldn't face it alone. As the pirate ship jumped into hyperspace, Ryan looked at Zayara, his heart racing. They had survived the impossible, and now they would face whatever came next together. Together, forever.